The Roman Empire. You see it everywhere, but what actually is it? To explain what it is, we need to break down and explain what Rome is. But we first need to rewind and look where it all began. Before emperors, before legions, and actually before Rome was even Rome. Now, if we zoom into Europe, there are many countries, actually too many countries, that's had a huge impact on human history. But the main ones are France, Russia, Italy, United Kingdom, and Greece. Now, some of these major countries have had past empires that have been very successful. This includes the French Empire, the Russian Empire, the Macedonian Empire, but the main one, of course, is the Roman Empire. Wait, hold on. What is an empire? To nail it down, it is a state ruled by an emperor that expands by taking over other lands. Now that we've wrapped up the introduction, we can finally get into what this video is actually about, how Rome came to be. And our story begins not with a king, not with a battle, but with a myth, a legend, Aeneas.
Aeneas, which is a mythical hero that defended Troy from the Greeks and is the son of the goddess Aphrodite. And when Troy was taken by the Greeks, Aeneas fled Troy with his father, wife and son. Aeneas travelled the Mediterranean Sea to find a place for his family to live, and his family reached Italy, where they will now become the ancestor of kings, emperors and the entire Roman identity. Now, we don't really know if this is true or not because of the burning of the Library of Alexandria, but what we do know is that in 753 BC, two brothers, Romulus and Remus, were abandoned at birth and were saved and nursed by a she-wolf, which is where we get this famous statue from. And these twins were said to be the sons of Mars, and later in life, Romulus actually killed Remus in a dispute of the city's location, and Romulus became the first king and gave the city his name, Rome, and why it's not called Rheims. So Romulus had a city, but no one to live there. So Romulus got exiles, criminals, to come to Rome for asylum, but they didn't have any women. So Rome did the most Rome thing and went to the local city and massacred all the men and kidnapped all the women. So now he had a city.
After Romulus died, the other kings ruled Rome from 753 to 510 BC, a period filled with stolen brides, divine omens, and suspicious assassinations, more political than modern reality shows. Whether they were real or not, we do not know. But the final king, Tarquin the Proud, ruled with all the charm of a brick that managed to infuriate just about everyone in the city. His reign was a masterclass on how not to run a kingdom, with corruption, fear, forced labour, and one scandal so outrageous that it finally pushed Rome over the edge. Tarquin's son, Sextius, had become madly in love with a noble woman named Lucaria, and threatened her with a sword and ate her. Lucaria did not stay silent though. She called on her family and told them everything that had happened, and ended it right there. She took her life because she couldn't take the shame that the king's son had done to her.
Tarquin had made a lot of errors and things that the Roman people did not like, but this was the last straw. Her family had shown the people her body and showed them what happens when one family has too much power. The city went absolutely nuclear. They slammed shut the gates and told Tarquin he was fired. The Roman people all came together and agreed there shall be no more kings ever again. The Roman people had a problem. They didn't have any kings, so who was going to be the leader of Rome? Well, the Roman people created a new system where the leader of Rome would be elected magistrates, and those leaders were called consuls, and there were two consuls that would rule for a period of time to be replaced by new consuls, and these consuls must be voted by the Senate. But hold on, what is the Senate? To basically nail it down, it is a room full of old men in togas gossiping like it's a reality show. but are also a group of politicians that are consisted of Rome's elite. Now back to Tarquin the Proud. He didn't really take being fired that well and tried to get his throne back multiple times, which resulted in a campaign against the Latin League, and the Romans had fought him for the last time at the Battle of Lake Regillus. The battle opened up with both sides in a brutal shield-to-shield push. The Roman cavalry pushed back the Latin League cavalry on the right side. The Latin League cavalry could not take it and routed the battlefield. The Roman horsemen swung around the side and slammed into the exposed flank of the Latin infantry. The Latin line broke. The Latins fled the field, leaving around 3,000 dead, and Rome had lost about 1,500. It was a brutal fight, but a very clear victory. Rome won barely, and Tarquin fled into permanent exile, and Rome took the Latin League's cities and towns, and the Republic was here to stay. So the consuls of Rome think, hey, this glory thing is actually pretty cool. So Rome goes and invades the Umbrians and the Etruscans and took it just like that. And Rome couldn't stop growing. Almost every city near Rome was conquered, and Rome was swimming in that sweet, tasty glory. But in 390 BC, a Gallic tribe called the Senones invaded Rome. The Senones marched into Rome and burned it down. But Rome rebuilt and went even harder and took the Samnites. They conquered all the Greek cities in the Italian peninsula. Rome is now a rising superpower, and it's also at this time that we all know it, we all love it, the biggest war that Rome has fought in so far, and it's in Italian's front door, Sicily. What was it called again? I think it starts with a P. I think it was the Penguin Wars. Was it the Post Office Wars? Wait, you got this? Thanks. And trust me, this is where things get absolutely crazy. Elephants, naval battles, invasions, disasters, comebacks, everything. But that's a story for another day.